working.
Alex, can you,
How are you? Very blind.
how are you? Yes.
Blinded. How was your drive?
Yep.
Terrible, right? It's so bad.
Awesome.
I left like almost 2 hours since
It
you emailed
what?
me.
It took you 2
Oh,
hours.
it took like hour and 15,
Yeah.
but I left
Oh my
2
God.
hours.
Oh, I see. Oh,
It was insane.
You texted me, I was already on my.
Good. I figured you would be.
Yeah.
No, I was having a moment of like, is
I know
Alex
this.
on today?
Yeah.
It's like, it's been, I
Since
haven't
last
seen you in a
week,
while,
I-
right?
Yeah.
Is it only last week?
It was.
No, I didn't. Yeah.
And week before I was here on
Right.
I guess.
Right.
Somebody is here.
Oh.
Oh,
Should be okay now. Better? Good? Should I close that door? Does that need to be open?
I left it open only because there was a strong smell of cleaner in here, so I was trying to get a little bit of cross breathe. I had the air conditioning on earlier too. And it didn't help.
You could go into my office where all you can smell are Jonah's feet. I love the door open here.
Smart.
don't be surprised if I play like this.
Yeah, do you want sunglasses?
I'll just back.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, one of those is you. Can't catch you.
2 weeks seems so long.
It feels so long.
9, 10.
And I'm not here next week, so
Counting
you
the
and Rabbi Jay are.
Participants, make sure we got to a minyan. I think we got there. I think so.
It's not here usually.
Mm-hmm.
Diane, can you hear me at home? Is this coming through okay? We made it. We're 10. We got 8 here, 2 online. We got there. I just read a commentary from Shlomo Carlebach, who talks about the necessity for 10 Jews for a prayer service, unless you're at a table. If you've just had a meal, you only need 3 to do the full Birkat Hamazon. And he says, because the rabbis said that food lifts us so much higher spiritually that it's as if it fulfills the other role of the 7 people who were there.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think it's a playful response, but it works. Let's see. Diane, Maggie, Gail, can you hear us at home?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you.
It's a Shabbat for families with young children downstairs. There's, I don't know, 40 people down there.
Gail, say that again.
Most of them are, under this height, but there's still people.
It's packed downstairs.
It's a little chaotic. I'm happier to be up here in the quiet.
But it was really
It's
cool.
packed. It was great.
Yeah, a lot of our new ECEC families are down there. Their parents come to pick them up from Friday school, and they just stay for the Shabbat thing downstairs, and they're having dinner down there, and God, there's so many families. It's perfect. It's exactly what it should be.
Okay. Where's our guest speaker tonight?
Well, you got 2 minutes. That's no- Hey, Carl.
Rabbi Jay, we matched our outfits this evening.
Yes, we did.
Actually, Alex matches too.
Yeah, nice soft blues. That's the way it should be.
Really funny.
Hey, Susan, how are you?
72.
Wow, that's awesome.
Thereabouts.
I'll take it. No. No. Hey, Wynn, how are you? Hanging. Okay. Right.
Look at this crowd. Gang's all here.
The bus just dropped off, that's right. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Oh, I need my red folder.
There's another Elizabeth, not me. Of course, yes, I'd be honored.
All right, just one more check for folks at home. Can you hear us okay?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Great, thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Some of the readings and the choices of music this evening are in acknowledgement of May as Mental Health Awareness Month. And it's an opportunity for us to use our worship experience in a similar way that we do so often. That is to lift in ourselves a sense of empathy and understanding about the divinity in other people. So, during February, during Black History Month, African American History Month, we might be stopping to think about, well, what does it feel like to be a person of color in America? What sort of extra sensitivities should we find within ourselves? In June, during LGBTQ Pride Month, those of us who are allies of the community are considering what it must be like to walk through a cisgendered world that is struggling to find a way to make a place for everybody equally. I hope there's an Immigration Awareness Month. Does anyone know? There should be, to connect with the experience of those who are not at home yet, who still feel like the other And we find it in our hearts to welcome them in spiritually to our experience. And so, tonight, we take a moment to apply the same way of thinking to those who struggle with mental health issues. We'll have, David, are you speaking for us this evening? No, there's a guest, a surprise guest, way better than David Lyons, who's going to speak tonight from the organization called NAMI, the National Association of Mental Illness, and we'll look forward to him or her or them joining us later. But for now, we're going to just stay in that space of opening our hearts to all humanity, all the shapes and forms, all the functions and dysfunctions that we all have, and all of our delicious messiness, all of it being holy. And so I'm going to read a little opening poem from Alden Salovey about Shabbat, and there'll be an instruction afterwards. He writes, Shabbat is the place. It's the place where time and space meet, without questioning how the beginning began or how the ending ends. Shabbat is the place where song and silence meet, blessing each other with the gift of rest. Shabbat is the place where dreams and angels meet, yearning together for a world of peace. Shabbat is the place where holiness and eternity meet, praying together for the world to come. So Shabbat seems to be the place where opposites can find each other, and in doing so, fulfill their full potential. Each of those poles on a continuum would be incomplete without the other. So, which are you? Where are you on the continuum of personality? Honor that in yourself. Assume that your counterpart is here in the room, physically or virtually, and be grateful for them, because without them, you could not express the fullness of you this evening. It is a bright room. Alex, oh, you're finally out of the sun. Hardly feel like we need more light in the room, and yet it's time for candles. And I hope you don't mind, Elizabeth, but I'm going to ask Elizabeth Hines to light Shabbos candles for us tonight. And the reason is that she has now been a Jew for 27 hours. And she has held off. This has, for her, been a very intentional decision to wait and not light Shabbos candles until she was a full member of our people. So tonight is the first time that she'll light Shabbos candles. So after the bracha, perhaps we'll find a shehechianu in there somewhere.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam
there, and there, and there, and there. Let's carry on with how good it is when brothers and sisters sit together in our oneness.
הנה מה טוב ובנעים,
שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. And let's turn to page 20 for Lachadodi.
לך דודי, לקראת פני שבת, פני שבת, נקבלה. פני שבת, פני שבת, נקבלה, נקבלה. שמור וזכור, בדיבור אחד, איש מינו.
You can be settled. I was learning a text yesterday that talked about the sense of self getting in the way of our awareness of God and the world. And so one of the goals of increasing spirituality is the negation of self. And if you remove self, then all that's left is God. And so when we turn and face the door and we're looking to see who walks in, if we're being generous in our notion of expansiveness, we're hoping God walks in. And what are the next words out of our mouth now? You'll find them on page 24. Let's continue with Baruch on page 28. And if you're able, Let's be upstanding. La 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 la. Author of life, architect of creation, artist of the earth, your works declare your holy name. Mighty rivers, turbulent seas, towering mountains, rolling hills, vast spaces of brilliance and grandeur. You created palette and paint, color and hue, shape and form, abundant and beautiful, glorious and majestic, full of mystery and wonder. Baruch atah Adonai, with divine love, you created this world in all of its diversity, full of splendor. We continue with Ahavat Olam on page 32. As you prepare for the Shema on the next page, I'd invite you to take a moment and call to mind somebody that you've had a part of your journey who struggled with mental illness. Think of them and how hard life was. Think about how difficult the world made it for them. Think about how out of place they were made to feel. You too were strangers in the land of Egypt. You too know what it is to be other. with enormous love in your heart, coming right through the sound of your voice into the words of a declaration of oneness. Reach out and embrace our brothers and sisters for whom life is not easy. We'll continue with the Ahavta on 36. Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levacha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha, v'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher Elohim mitzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha v'beitecha u'v'lechtecha b'derech u'v'shochtecha u'v'kumecha u'shartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letozachot b'neinecha u'chtatam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני On page 38, all of this we hold to be true and trustworthy for us. You alone are our God, and we are Israel, your people. You are our sovereign and Savior who delivers us from oppressors' hands and saves us from tyrants' fists. You work wonders without number, marvels beyond our count. You give us life, and you steady our footsteps. You performed miracles for us before Pharaoh. You performed signs and wonders in the land of the Egyptians. You led us, your people Israel, out from their midst to freedom for all time. When your children witnessed your dominance, we praised your name in gratitude, and we accepted your sovereignty. Moses, Miriam, and all Israel sang to you together, lifting their voices joyously as we do on page 40. This morning, I was really blessed to be present at the annual fundraising breakfast for Building One Community here in Stanford, and I sat with, I don't know, 400 of my closest friends at a big hotel ballroom, as together we sought to do exactly what I encouraged us to do a few minutes ago. We sought to open our hearts to the experience of the stranger. And we heard several stories from individuals whose parents or they themselves have made the journey to America looking for the better life, have wandered through their own wilderness towards their promised land, and just like the Israelites, when they got to the promised land, found that the journey wasn't over. In fact, perhaps some of the hardest work was yet to be done. And so I think about one particular man, his name was Reggie, who spoke this morning about coming. He was an artist from Haiti. And he came up for one of his own art shows that was being shown in the Haitian consulate in Boston. And when he got here, he decided not to go home. And his wife and his son, his 14-year-old son, are still in Haiti 10 years later. And he said that for the first 4 months he was staying with a family member, he didn't leave the house because he was just terrified, afraid that he'd get picked up by ICE and deported right back to a land that he was desperate to get out of in order to make a better life for his wife and son as well. And I think about what it was like. Even in that house, he probably felt ill at ease. But think about the difference for him of stepping out the door, feeling like everybody around was a potential threat, and then turning back around and walking in the house and closing the door behind him and taking a deep breath. That house, for those months, was Reggie's sanctuary. We understand what it is to have a Sukkot Shalom when we know what it is to lack a Sukkot Shalom. So Hashkivenu tonight in a mental health awareness month and a day when I'm thinking about the immigrant experience is just so poignant, because I know that I take my Sukkot Shalom for granted almost every day of my life. May today not be one of those days. Let's continue on page 42. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Shalom V'hamidenu Shreinu L'chaim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Shalom V'hamidenu Shreinu L'chaim. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Shalom V'hamidenu Shreinu And on page 44, Vishamru encourages us to see ourselves as warriors for that which is good. In this case, Shabbat. Shabbat's not just gonna happen. It has to be made. And if you ignore it, it disappears. So guarding Shabbat, remembering that it's your responsibility to make this for yourself, requires diligence, commitment, perspective, all of that. And if you get it just right, then You know what it is to live as a full human being, one who can take a breath and experience all the other parts of life for a day, a week. It's a wonderful gift you can give yourself. Vishamru, be careful to guard that day of Shabbat. There are little voices wandering around out there. The building just beforehand was filled with lots of little voices and lots of energy downstairs. It was really beautiful. Larry, what would you say? There's about 400 kids down there? That's what it felt like.
Underestimated.
Okay, yeah, boy, the energy was hard to control. During the Amidah, I'm just going to offer you an option. In your silence, I'll invite you to reflect on the ways in which you have been overlooked in your life. Maybe you were overlooked by a parent, maybe by a boss, maybe a partner just couldn't see everything that you had to offer, or a child didn't appreciate you. All of us know what it is to be overlooked, to be unseen for what we feel we deserve to be seen. Obviously, I invite that this evening as I've prepped the ground for a space of compassion and empathy. I want you to have that empathy for yourself as well. We all know what that feels like, and you deserve to be seen in all of your holiness, in all of your worth, with all of the other's love. Let's turn the page for Amidah to 46, and let's be upstanding.
Adonai,
You can be settled.
Ose shalom, Uyase shalom, Uyase shalom aleinu, Yase shalom aleinu, We ask for peace on earth, and we say Amen. Veimeru, Amen. Veimeru, Amen. We raise our voice as one, and we say Amen.
I think normally, if I'm going to invite a guest speaker to address the congregation from the Bima, I would at least know his name. But this evening, I can't even begin to do the introduction for you. David, do you want to come and share a few words about our guest this evening, and perhaps do my job for me?
Can I see your license? Identification? Thank you, Rabbi.
Of course. Watch your
Since my memory is short, I wanted to make sure I got a quick introduction in, not just to our speaker. I won't reveal his name yet. It's too important. The reporters will be out there in a minute. NAMI is a nationwide association, and it provides support, education, advice for people affected by mental illness and their families. NAMI Connecticut, which actually there is NAMI Connecticut, NAMI Southwest Connecticut. I'm on the board of Southwest Connecticut. We're dedicated to raising the awareness and improving the quality of life for people with mental illnesses and their families, because it's not just the person with the illness that suffers, but it's the entire family around them that has to deal with it. And we make support, education, and advocacy available, and it's all for free. Joe, we kind of hit the lottery. Joe is a member of the NAMI National Board. He's also on the Connecticut State Board, and he's also counsel to our Southwest NAMI Board. And there's no one better to speak, so I'm going to stop and introduce Joe Gallo.
Thank you very much, David. Good evening, everybody, and Rabbi Jay and Cantor Micah. And David, thank you so much for having me join you with this beautiful ceremony in such a gorgeous spring afternoon. So, since everybody's been having such difficulty introducing me, maybe I should take a stab at it, and kind of why I'm here and why I show up at various places at various times. I think part of it is a very strong, heartfelt commitment to the future. And as I was growing up, and I was very, very fortunate, I was born in Italy. I came over as a young immigrant on the last voyage of the Andrea Doria, which sank on the next voyage off the coast of Nantucket. And over the years, I feel tremendous gratitude to have had the chance to benefit from all the wonderful things that this country, this marvelous country, has to offer. And I was lucky enough to be educated at some of the best schools in the world, and went on to squander those wonderful years of education, some would say, by going into investment banking for over 40 years. So now that I've done that thing, it's time to pay the piper. And during that time, I worked hard. I thought I was doing the right thing. I had my nose to the grindstone and sort of assumed win the bread and everything's going to be fine. And as we all know in life, it doesn't always work out that way, and for good reason. So, in sort of that spiritual moment of the golden hour, which we are in right now, and some would say the golden years, which some of us are in right now, I wanted to talk to you all about mental health and what it means to us as parents, what it means to us as family members, what it means to our children, our communities, our country, and the world in which we're living. Really important because we've just gone through a number of extremely difficult years, and some would say the smaller part of the pandemic was COVID, and the larger part of the pandemic that we are living with is the pandemic of mental illness in the United States. So I appreciate that David talked a little bit about our organization called NAMI. I've been lucky enough, I serve on the national board, was elected last year. I served for 3 years as president of NAMI Connecticut, and I'm a counselor, advisor, whatever you guys want to call me, to NAMI Southwest. Actually, I'm the husband of Susan Gatto, who will soon be the president of NAMI Southwest. So in part, that's why I'm here as well. So what I wanted to do is share with you some statistics, and this is a poll that NAMI had commissioned from Washington through a polling organization called Ipsos, which I understand is a very reputable polling organization. And I wanted to share some statistics on teenagers, young adults, and sort of where they view themselves and the experiences they're having in this topsy-turvy world that we're living in right now. And so I'll just go through a few of the key findings for you, and then I want to turn to a few key observations on NAMI that I wanted to share with you, which might be helpful. So the questions really focused on state of mental health of young people. It was a fairly broad national survey of teenagers, and just some of the statistics that came out of it is almost 2/3, 64% of the students polled believe the world is more stressful than what they perceived to be how stressful the world was when their parents were teenagers. So there's a sense that times have changed. We've lived through those times, and we know, they perceive, but we know, and they have changed. About 1 in 6 report experiencing negative emotions often or all the time. I'm glad I didn't feel that way when I was a teenager, but I think that's reality today. 25% have some sort of received some sort of mental health treatment over the course of their teenage years. And that could be a simple counseling, a therapy session. It could be, much more severe than that, but that's what that statistic reveals. Now, on the good side, 2/3, 65% say they feel comfortable talking about their mental health with those that are closest to them. Unfortunately, those who are closest to them often have no idea how to talk to them about their mental health. And I'm going to talk about that with you all tonight. 34% seek mental health information from their parents, 18% of those surveyed from friends, 8% from the internet, that's scary, and 7% from teachers or trusted adults outside their family. That's really interesting because the next question was, how do the teens feel about their schools playing a role in their mental health, the development of their mental health? And the feedback from them was that 2 and 3 agree that school, 2 out of 3, or again 66+%, agreed that schools should teach more about what mental health is, including where and how to receive treatment. So our kids or grandkids are aware of this stuff and they'd like to get some help. It's, you know, they go to friends, they go to parents, but they're looking more and more to their schools to do that. And teens are saying that they don't believe their schools are doing enough. And in fact, 60% say that their school doesn't have specific programs or resources to support mental health. So that's sort of the read from this survey on a high school level. Now, one of the things I've been doing as part of my national responsibilities is I chair a task force finding out what's happening at the universities, because we all read a lot of stories in whatever newspaper or magazine you're reading about suicides at the college level, real mental health problems, addiction, lots of kind of scary stories. So what I've done over the last 6 months or so is visit many of the major universities and colleges on the East Coast. I've been to Dartmouth, to Harvard, to University of Pennsylvania, Princeton University, University of North Carolina, and I visited a number of smaller colleges as well to try to get a sense as to what was going on, and spoke with a lot of students, but also spent a lot of time with deans of faculty and the folks who are running the student counseling services at the universities. And the statistic that concerned me and gave me the most hope was the same statistic. And the numbers were amazingly in sync from college to college, university to university. You know, roughly a third. In some cases it's 29%, sometimes it's 35%, but kind of within that range at every single school, that the counseling services people have said roughly 30% of the students on their own have sought counseling services for their mental health. They're finding that they're incapable of sort of, in many cases, getting by through the college experience, which is dramatically different from the high school experience. They're finding that they don't have the tools to navigate, and they're finding that the environment, although exhilaratingly free, is one where they're at a loss, and they don't really know how to deal with the alcohol and the drugs that are available on campus. And I'm not here to preach against drugs or alcohol. It's much more, I'm here to talk about what's happening to our young people in this country. And the very fact that roughly 30% of them at these universities, and again, my work has been on the Eastern Seaboard schools, says to me, bravo for them, that they are recognizing the challenges and they need help in coping and learning skills and tools to navigate their way through life. And the other thing that gives me a lot of hope is that when you see in excess of a third of the student body raising their hands and saying, I need help, think about the positive implications of that for people being willing to talk openly about this issue. Because I think we'd say, David, you know, and at National Alliance on Mental Illness, is that stigma has been such an issue with people, ranging from garden variety behavioral challenges like depression, anxiety, more seriously PTSD, obsessive compulsive disorder, running into more serious illnesses such as bipolar disorder, schizoaffective disorder, schizophrenia. And you know, basically we call all of these mental illnesses. And I walk around blithely when people talk about other people's mental illness and saying, have you looked at yourself lately? To say, I believe we're all on the spectrum. We have our good days, we have our bad days. There are times in life where we flourish, and there are times in our life where we struggle. That's part of what life is. Add on to that, the actual physical challenges, mania, for example, schizophrenia, and life is even that much harder. And so what we believe is that there needs to be more of a local dialogue in some ways as important or more important than a national dialogue on these topics, and to realize challenges are part of our existence as human beings. And on top of that, I'd say, well, we all want joy and happiness, and luckily many of us find it, if not every day of our life, at some point in our life. Life also involves sadness, it involves struggle. And very often, if we're honest with ourselves, what makes us grow or allows us to grow as human beings, as compassionate creatures on this earth, is the hardships, the challenges, the compassion to help those in need. And so I'm optimistic, if we can expand this dialogue, that we are going to see change. And I'm optimistic because the problem, the challenges have become so severe. And I'm going to ask you this question, but don't raise your hand until I finish with the question. I'm going to make it a little bit easy for you. I could make it hard. First of all, so click in your head. Do you have a mental illness? Have you received therapy? Does a family member have a mental illness? Have they received therapy? Do you have a friend who has a mental illness, or their spouse, or their children that you know about? And I'll leave it with that. Let's sort of move it out to that circle. And if the answer to that question is yes, please raise your hand. So look around the room, everybody. I mean, you can see my hand, but look at everybody else's hand. So we're all in this together, I could come and talk to you like, who is this guy? Why is he here? Why does he care about this? Because this is all of us that we're talking about. So, if you will, that's sort of the key theme that I wanted to share with you tonight. Call it soul food, call it whatever you want to. But that's why I'm here tonight. And who I am doesn't make a difference. What I do makes a really big difference. And so what I wanted to do was share with you on the teen mental health front a few things. At NAMI, we are very, very focused on teens now. They're the future, they're our future, and we also recognize if we're not focusing on our members' children, they have less of a reason to be a member of NAMI, because this is about the future. And so we, in the last few years, have put into place a wide variety of programs, trainings for young adults and youth. We have a program that's actually, David helped kick this off with the mayor of Stamford and with the state organization in NAMI Southwest of Ending the Silence, which is students coming to talk to other students about their experiences in mental health. And it's a combination of a student, a young adult, and a teacher getting together in front of students within that community, within that town, to talk about mental health and to basically share, to end the silence so that if people feel, I can talk about this. And so if the kids are seeing it in school, hopefully that opens a dialogue. We're going to see more films along these lines. Thank God for Ted Lasso. I don't know, I watch it, and there are days where I cringe, but there are other days where I say, they got this one right. And I don't mind if we have to cringe a little bit, as long as there are people out there working hard to get this right. So we can talk about it honestly, candidly, without the shame, but with the compassion. So, I mean, this is just like everything else, there's a money pitch involved in it. But I wanted to share with you the fact that we've got programs. NAMI on campus, we're trying to address that 30%, and it's probably more than the 30% that have spoken out with programs on campus. We have a family-to-family program. The reason I'm here, the reason my wife has gotten involved in NAMI is one of our kids had a very, very severe manic episode a number of years ago, and we didn't know what to do. This was so alien. It was like, is this a kid from Mars? Is this our child? And we didn't know what to do. And we saw a flyer on a hospital billboard, and it was a godsend. It said, enroll in family to family, and there were those little, you know how you have a piece of paper and it's stapled up there, and you have little things you can peel off so you can call the number and enroll. Well, we did that. Initially, I took the entire piece of paper, and Susan said, no, all you were supposed to do was take the little thing. I said, okay, but let's do it. And we went to a class, we learned a lot, and not only do we believe it changed us and helped us, it really helped our child. And I think it got us to wake up out of our stupor and say, once we get through this, it's our turn to give back and become advocates for the mental health of our communities and our families. So that's what NAMI is about. Just to give you a sense of the kinds of things that we do, it's not like all teachings are NAMI programs specifically. We have an incredible program tomorrow. It's a little bit late, but I just think it's important to know about this. There's something called LEAP, which is Listen, Empathize, Agree, and Partner, which is an evidence-based program that teaches you how to create alliances to treatment and recovery for people struggling with serious mental illness. It's created by a phenomenal doctor called Henry Amador. And essentially what it is, it's for any relationship. It gives you the tools you need to persuade somebody who's in denial, doesn't recognize he or she has a mental health illness or an addiction or whatever it happens to be. That lack of awareness is blocking them from seeking the treatment they need to help change their lives. And so this course is designed for that. My wife Susan is teaching it, and two other volunteers from NAMI Southwest are teaching this tomorrow, 9:30 to 11:30 at the Noble Conference Room at Greenwich Hospital, 5 Perry Ridge Road. And if you're at all interested, you're welcome to join. There is a sign-in, but even if you don't sign in, say Joe sent me and we'll let you in. Particularly if you say it to Mary Duty, who's teaching with Susan, she'll let you in. Don't say it to Susan, because I don't know. It depends on what time I get home tonight, and we'll see how that goes. So that's LEAP training, and that's tomorrow. And then the other thing, and this is the fundraising aspect of this, is that NAMI's major awareness building event and a fundraising event each year is called the NAMI Walk. It's done nationally. Each of the state organizations sponsor it. The affiliate organizations and our affiliate here in Fairfield County, covering Stamford, Greenwich, New Canaan, Darien, and points beyond that, Norwalk, et cetera, is NAMI Southwest, on which David is a board member. The walk is tomorrow as well. It's at Bushnell Park in Hartford. I'm probably going to do my own walk tomorrow around 9:45 in Bruce Park, if anybody's interested. But it's going to be a very strong, small walk. It may be me, my walk, and one of our kids, but my dog and one of our kids. But we'll see. If other people want to come out, Wood Road in Bruce Park, right in the middle, meeting at 9:45 tomorrow. To wrap it up, though, I'd say that we've got a lot of teams. We've done well this year on fundraising. We have a target of $230,000 to help support these programs throughout all of Fairfield County and around the state. We've got that $230,000 target, donations thus far of $169,000, so 72% of our goal, which is quite good, but we're sort of nearing the end. And to the extent that you might have an interest in making donation, I'd encourage you to do so. You can talk to David, or you can go right to the NAMI Connecticut website, namict.org. And once you go in, there's a little thing saying NAMI Walks. Push the button and it will give you an idea as to how to donate. Very, very easy to do. And if you want to champion one of the Fairfield County NAMI Southwest team, Joe and Susie's support group is one of them, which is started by my wife, and the other one is Bob Cornell's a support group called Family to Family. But again, thank you so much for your time this evening. I don't want to take any more of this glorious evening away from you. Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Joe. Really appreciate you being here.
Pleasure.
Enjoy that walk tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you. What's that?
Oh.
I don't want to walk off with the microphone. There you go. Thank you very much. Thank you.
We're going to use Heal Us Now tonight for our prayers of growth. Yeah, healing is headed in a direction. It's moving ourselves from one place to another. So think about those you know who need a little bump with prayer, with encouragement, including you. And let's populate the space with the names of those for whom we want to pray. Those of you at home, please go ahead and put some names that you're thinking of in the chat box. Here in the room, we're thinking of and Sanford Klein, Maddie Graff, Miriam Perper, Lillian Gerstmann, Lana Ross, Ann Rosenbaum, Haley Cohen, Barry Cohen, Anna Cohen, Missy Hyatt, and Sally Cohen. We don't have the words for you in your Siddur, so you'll just have to sit back and let the words do their magic upon you.
Ach,
apparently not having the words was not an issue for you. It's beautiful for those at home, here in the room, just felt the energy just rise with that prayer. It's so beautiful. Let's take note of the passage of days. Some of them good, some of them hard, some of them memorable, some of them gone forever, but all of them holy. If you would, let's rise for counting of the Omer. Hineni mochan u'mezuman lekayem et mitzvat aseh shel sfirat ha'omer baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat ha'omer hayom arba'im yom shehem shisha shavuot u'shnei yamim la'omer. Today is 44 days of the Omer, which is 6 weeks and 2 days of the Omer, getting close to the end. Let's continue with prayers of memory. We're remembering the recent loss of Aaron Cohn, who was Daniel Block's uncle. And this Shabbat marks yard sites for Richard Boris, Ray Boslow, Selma Bubel, David S. Cohen, Richard Cryer, Sarah Dorfsman, Molly Farkas, Peter Feldman, Lana Friend, Sylvia Gaines, Polly Harris, Nathan Kleiman, Marvin Lakin, Jules Lichtman, Minna U. Rosen, Lori Sanda, Carlin Scher, Jerome Schwartz, Barney Silverstein, and David Weintraub. Are there others? On page 294, we'll honor them with the words that we've developed for just that purpose. As we say, Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma tifarach hirute ve'yamlich malchute, v'chayechon u'vyomechon, u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, Ba'agala u'vizman karim ve'imru amen. Yehi shemei Rabbah mevorach, le'olam ul'amei almaya, yitvarach v'yishtabach v'yitha'ar v'yithromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal, shemei d'kudsha b'rich hu, le'la min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, Da'amiran be'alma ve'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shamaya, ve'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru amen. And you can be seated. Let's see here. All right. I'm checking for announcements. Let's see. Is that this week? Jane Vasco is out this week on a well-earned vacation, which means I'm helpless. So tomorrow we've got Bible study at 9 a.m., and we've got our next installment of musical lectures by Zach Kampler. Not a whole lot going on this week. Next Friday, next Friday is Shavuot. And so the building is going to be closed. The offices will be closed on Friday, but of course we'll be here for services Friday night for a Torah service. I don't care, I'm saying it. Elizabeth, who, as I mentioned, has been Jewish for 28 hours now, thought, why not spend her first week as a Jew reading Torah for us? So yeah, she's going to learn Torah next Friday night, celebrating the fact that she just became a bat mitzvah. Then let's see, looking at some of the other save the date things. Save your date of June 10th for our Ruach Havdalah and concert. and the 28th, a Monday night, for our annual meeting, so we can make Susan our next president. And we're going to start our tradition of summer services out in our backyard. So on June 30th, we'll have our first evening service out back. So it'll be a 5:30 picnic with services starting at 6:30 with your, on your lawn chairs and sunglasses and bug spray and wine and all the good stuff. Any other announcements that, yeah, Beth? Hope in Motion is soon.
Oh, just kidding.
It's whenever the annual meeting was
It's
supposed to
soon.
be.
Right, it's really soon.
Yeah, it's not the first Sunday in June?
Second summer.
Second Sunday in June. Hope in Motion.
Open motion.
Go to their website. You're going to get better information than what we just did here for you.
Join our team.
And join the Sinai team. Yes, yes. All right. With that, we're going to finish with Alana Arian's setting of Gesher Tsar Me'od. Kantor has taught us beautifully that the lyrics remind us that, yeah, to walk through life is to be afraid. It's hard being human. It's scary. But if you can push through the fear, there is something on the other side of fear, and it's worth walking towards.
3:39.
There it is.
Kol ha'olam kulo, kol ha'olam kulo, gesher tsar me'od. Kol ha'olam kulo, kol ha'olam kulo, gesher tsar me'od. Ve'ha'ikar lo nefachet klal. Ve'ha'ikar lo nefachet klal. Kol ha'olam kulo, gesher tsar me'od. Ve'ha'ikar lo nefachet klal. Ve'ha'ikar lo nefachet klal. The most important thing is on the other side. The most important thing is on the other side. The most important thing is on the other side of fear. Kol ha'olam kulo, kol ha'olam kulo, gesher tsar me'od. Kol ha'olam kulo, kol ha'olam kulo, gesher tsar me'od.
And with that, I wish you a Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Just make it all.
You wait until until I do something significant. Then you can thank me for that. This
is significant.
I know that it is. I'm glad. Something easy for me is significant for you. You're welcome. All right.